Aboru Aboye. What's the role of race in Orisha lifestyle? I posed that question on my Facebook page last week, and as you can imagine, it generated a lot of very passionate, intense, and well thought out responses from people literally all over the world. Okay? And even though there were a lot of responses, I think there was a 385 or more responses. Those responses really fell into some pretty predictable categories based on race and national of origin, nation of origin. So the white people in America pretty much responded the same way, pretty much. You had the white Hispanics, the non-African Hispanics, Latinos responding the same kind of way. You had the West Africans on the continent who responded the same kind of way. And then you had African Americans who responded generally the same kind of way. There was trends that followed those, those ethnic, racial, national lines. All right. Now, I'm going to speak to the African American perspective because that's what I know best. That's what I have lived. And what I see from African Americans is that one really big problem that African Americans are facing is that we are not fully aware of the fact that we are not really most concerned about the religion. Okay, we are most concerned about the culture. Why is that the case? Well, that has been our history. Most African Americans are not really deep into Christianity. Even though we've been Christian for 400 years. If you start talking to African Americans about the history of Christianity, most African Americans don't know the history. If you start talking to them about just the book itself, let's start dissecting the Bible and what is this book about? What's that book about? What is this book about? What does that word mean? And most African Americans don't know the Bible. If you start getting into the esoteric teachings of Christianity, most African Americans don't know the esoteric teachings of Christianity. They're not even aware that there are esoteric teachings within Christianity. Why? Because it's not about Christianity. What we have done is we have Africanized Christianity. We have used Christianity as a principle around which we can build African culture in America. Okay? And we have created social institutions that create or support the kinds of experiences that cultivate African values and African worldview. All right? So people go to church and participate in church-related activities because it's a place that is distinctly black and African. That's why they say the most segregated day in America is Sunday. That's the time for you to go and charge your African battery, sharpen your African saw. That's not what people call it, but that's what is really playing out. Okay? And so we bring that same kind of an impulse to Orisha lifestyle. Even though we're calling it a religious experience, in reality, we are looking for that cultural experience. But we want a cultural experience that is consistent now. Because Christianity is inconsistent with African values. And we've gotten to the limits of that reality and have started to migrate away. And that's what's happening. So let me give you an example of what I'm saying. When you start to look at the history of Christianity, and you say, oh, the Holy Land is in Jerusalem. But you look at Jerusalem, and they got a full-scale Nazi attack against black people. I mean, they got flags and bullhorns, and they're just, the most vile, hostile, physically violent scenes are playing out in Jerusalem, or white people against black people. You know that's not where you belong. You start to trace back your name. You got a Spanish name or a French name or a Portuguese name, and you end up back in some little village in Europe. You sit around, you look at these people, and you look at their lifestyle, and you realize this is not where I come from. You know that's not your origin. You know those aren't your people, right? And so those are the things that let you know that, as the Yoruba proverb says, no matter how far a river flows, it can't forget its source. When you start to get back to the source of the thing, you realize this is a problem. These are the things that are limiting our ability to really fully Africanize our lives, because we're the principle that we're operating around is anti-African, is colonial, is racist, and it's derogatory towards, my origin and my source. So those are the things that we are realizing, and we have to accept that. We gotta open our eyes to that reality and say, yes, what I am really seeking in Orisha lifestyle is a spiritual tradition that is completely consistent with my ancestry, consistent with my culture, consistent with my destiny. That's what I'm seeking. And that will help us to do what? Organize ourselves differently. And not impose or project our expectations onto the Latinos, project our expectations onto the West African, and impose or project our expectations onto the white people. They aren't coming for the same thing, okay? There is a lot of overlap, particularly between African Americans and West Africans, because when you think of who are the people who are changing their names, right? Well, it's primarily African Americans, right? And I mean, not just on my Facebook profile, my name is, Origunwa. No, my driver's license and my social security card and my taxes, everything is me, right? My children bear Yoruba names. Who are the people who are moving back, expatriating back to West Africa? It's African Americans buying land, building houses. Who are the people who are marrying West Africans and starting families with West Africans? It's African Americans, okay? And so these are things that indicate that our intention and our expectation is much more comprehensive than just a spiritual practice or a religious practice, okay? That to me is essential to us living the medicine that will heal our lives and heal the lives of the people that we're destined to serve. Aboro aboye, aboshishe.